everybody.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Living Room webinar.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Em. How are you doing? It's 2025.
It's 2025. It is the longest month of the year. We are so close to being on the other side of this. So for all of you who are suffering through January, we hear you, we see you. We are so close. Three
It's
more.
been a cold January, even here in Florida.
Yep,
We've
we
had
got
snow. There was record snow in cities in Florida. I think places that had only ever gotten a 1 or 2 inches had 10 inches of snow. How about Atlanta? Did you guys get some snow?
we got some snow, not this past time, but the time before. But my family lives in Mobile, Alabama, and they got 10 inches, which is unheard of. So I
Wow.
see that the weather's back to 70 degrees in Florida. So I feel like all is right in the world again.
Yeah, we've got the heat on in the living room, so everyone get cozy wherever you're at, wherever you're listening in from, and we're excited to have you here today. As always, living room webinar, we are obviously an extension of Welcome Home, and we love all questions about Welcome Home. So use the chat. Feel free to ask us any questions that you have in mind, and we've got some great guests. Who is our first guest, Em?
So it's been a while since we've had this person on. We kind of kicked him off because our first episode didn't go great. He was traveling and we didn't know that. So, what better way to kick off 2025 than hear from our CEO and our co-founder, John Larisha. We're so excited to have him, not one as our leader, but also on this webinar to talk about what is he seeing as trends that are going to be emerging in 2025. Welcome to our visionary leader, John Larisha.
Welcome, John Larisha.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Emily. Happy to be here and thrilled about the start of the year.
Welcome back. We're very glad to have you.
I'm glad I'm here.
We're glad you're not going through security and can actually join the call. So
yes,
that's
exactly.
fantastic.
So, well, I mean, I'm excited about the start of 2025 for so many reasons. I'm not sure if I can predict the entire future, but I can share some thoughts as to where I think we're headed in the next few months, few years. Yeah, I mean, I think I, like so many folks that are on this call and in the space, think that we are at the cusp of the start of really a golden era of senior living. I think the next 10 years, and certainly the next year, is going to be an incredibly exciting time for senior living for a few different reasons. First and foremost, it all starts with demographics, right? We are now seeing the silver tsunami. We are seeing the wave of folks that are coming. And while this generation of future residents is very different than the ones that have been in the building, there are so many of them. And they are, while they come with a mixed experience and a mixed point of view with senior living, they are coming, they are inquiring. We are seeing high levels of interest in senior living. They are starting their research now. They're looking at different options. What's most encouraging is they're acting with their feet and their wallets and joining independent living communities, which are having record levels of occupancy. And when we launched this CRM and really started serving this community of operators in 2019, saying that I would sit here on a call and talk about record level of occupancy for any building, let alone a whole class of communities, I think would have seemed preposterous. But I think that's where we are, and everything would tell us that we have many years to come. So as to where we are right now, occupancy is up. Elena with our customer insights team will talk about that. It's up virtually everywhere. In particular, with regard to independent living, interest is extremely high. And while we are not we're not Nick, we know that inventory being put in place, building is slow, and for a variety of different macroeconomic reasons, going from building supplies to the availability of carpenters to interest rates, it's really hard to put buildings in place. So we should be in a period where structurally we have all of the forces that will say that we are going to have high occupancy. So that's a great place to start from, right? Having a product with a very large audience, that enough of that audience is opting into to create high demand. It allows us to start to sit there and say, all right, as operators, by no means is this easy. How we need to engage with this generation of future residents is changing. The amount of time that we need to talk to them is increasing, but it has us start to have different discussions, and we're already seeing it, that operators are sitting there and saying, all right, we're now thinking more about the ideal resident that makes this a community, in every single sense of the word, that we're looking at buildings that are starting to fill, and it's not let's get anyone into that bed or anyone into that unit, but who are the folks that are going to make this their home and make this a home for many people, where the length of stay is going to be measured in years and not in months. How do we think about proper way of pricing to the value that we're providing so the NOI is appropriate for the investment that we have? How do we think about our cost of acquisition so we're shifting to more, again, making this a community where it is word of mouth, it is referrals, it is not paid leads that are generating the traffic. So new problems, but quite honestly, I think better problems, more exciting problems, or challenges to tackle. And so, I mean, obviously, I just went on a soliloquy here. Extremely excited about 2025, excited about 26, 27, excited to, as my team would joke, excited probably all the way out to the years where I'm moving into one of these communities.
Well, thank you. That was super insightful. I think, the lesson is quality and going into 2025 and retention. So thank you, John, for being with us. And we will definitely invite you back again. You've earned.
And in the near future, John, we're excited. You're going to be speaking at Senior Housing News. Who are the other people that are on the panel with you?
So I'm going to have Heather Haley from SRI, and Brooke from the Claiborne was going to be there.
Fantastic. Yeah. So if anyone's attending that, look for John there. He'll be speaking on more of this topic, and we're excited to be involved in that.
Awesome. See ya.
John.
All right. So our next guest is back to discuss the release of our highly anticipated 2024 year in review. So Elena Dawes, our data analyst at Welcome Home, is here to talk about why this is so important for our customers and the senior living community. We had a great kickoff webinar last week, I believe. So hopefully you guys were able to attend, but welcome, Elena.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Emily. So excited to be here. Our year in review is out, as Emily just said, and we are so excited to share it with y'all. This report is for you, our customers, our future customers, and the senior living community as a whole. It's really designed to empower your conversations, inform your decisions, and highlight your best practices. We really want you to dive into this data, explore those key takeaways, and share this report. I'm going to go ahead and drop it in the chat for everybody to download if they haven't already.
Yeah, please download that. And again, if there's any questions as you download that, we are excited to have that chat open. And let's do a little, we spent over an hour and we had an amazing webinar. People were really, really engaged in that. And so thanks everybody that's showed up again here today. Elena, give us a couple of key highlights that we wanted to talk about here.
Absolutely. As John mentioned, occupancy is up across the board. So our industry, we're seeing an up 2 points occupancy this year, but that's just the start of the story and unpacking the report. The 2024 year in review really goes beyond the numbers, diving into the what and how of the sales funnel to really help you and your team uncover those opportunities and growth for your best practices at every stage of the process. So we've got things to see how your inquiry and tour volumes compare to the industry, dig into your move-ins, move-outs, and sales activities, really see how they measure against the industry. It's all in that year review report. We've also analyzed lead sources. So we know lead source data is so important, especially right now, to really show how different channels are performing in terms of conversion, sales cycle length, and even average length of stay, are helping you to understand the ROI of each lead source. But we didn't stop there. We've included activities data, care type data, as well as geographic insights that look at our urban versus rural trends and even our regional performances. So you're really able to get that apples to apples comparison about how your community is performing. So really go check it out. It is packed with insights, and I wish I could talk your ear off about it. The launch party was so fun, and we've got some upcoming opportunities as well.
Well, I
Great.
think too, you've got a poll today, right? Talking about which section of the report is most valuable. So we'd love to share that poll as well.
Yes, we are gathering data even for our year review 2025, if you can believe that. Really want to see what's most impactful to you in this report. So if you've had a chance to review it, go ahead and jump in. And if you haven't reviewed it, go ahead and tell us what you think your favorite section will be.
Amazing. We got a lot for sales activities right now. Lead source analysis.
Awesome.
We
And if
got
there's a section that you think that needs to be included that isn't on this poll, go ahead and drop that in the chat. We'd love to know.
absolutely. All
So
right.
interesting to see.
Yeah, we've got almost 50%, and it looks like, yeah, sales activities and lead source analysis are carrying so far, and occupancy kind of backing up. So not surprising given our audience, but good for us to get this data, like Alina said, for the next year report. All right. I think we are going to close that poll. Thanks for everybody who has participated, and going on the trend of what the webinar group is interested in. I'm really interested in sales activities, especially as we are a CRM. So Alina, can you tell the group a little bit about the activity section and how we should interpret it?
Absolutely. So this year's activity section got a major refresh. We're really focusing on the prospect journey in a way that's more insightful for you and your teams. We've heard how you want to better understand the journey that prospects are taking before moving in, and that's really what this revamped section is all about. So it's really exciting to see that interest in the polls as well. But let me emphasize, no two journeys are the same with prospects. This isn't a step-by-step checklist. It's more about using these insights to improve your approach. So based on your feedback, we split the data into pre-tour and post-tour activities, which really offers a clearer view of how prospects move through the sales funnel. We've prioritized meaningful, successful activities. So we left out bounce calls or bulk messaging to really focus on those personal touch points, because we know that's what drives the move in. So you might be asking yourself, how can you use this data? The data in this section really serves as a roadmap to better understand your own performance by comparing your community pre and post-tour activities to those industry benchmarks. For example, in 2024, the average successful prospect journey included 18 activities. That's a really great benchmark for setting your minimum communication goals. But it's not just about the number of activities, and we know this. It's really about the quality. So we took a closer look at our top performing communities. We defined these as those with the biggest occupancy gains in 2024 and really analyzed what set them apart, so that can uncover the insights and the quality of these interactions. So really excited for you all to jump into the top performer section. We also break this out by care type as well. So if you're looking for more insights with that pre-tour and post-tour stage, definitely go check out the year in review activity section.
And I love that you said that. It's not a playbook, it's a starting point, and every journey is different, every community is different. So that's a great call out.
Absolutely. And I think we have one more poll for
We've got another poll. Let's do it. Yep.
Good.
So we're asking, what's the biggest challenge your team faces when engaging with prospects?
Limited time for personalized follow-ups, response rates, understanding which activities lead to move-ins, and consistently tracking and analyzing activity data. All very fair issues that I think everyone deals with, even our team, when it comes to getting our CSMs in
I
account
was just going to say, yep. I see some of the
constantly.
same thing. I think there's a joke in here somewhere too. Biggest challenge your team faces when engaging. They have to decide between like Michael and Teddy and, Patrick and Charles. So it gets tough out there.
It does get tough out there.
Exactly.
Amazing. All right. So it looks like the biggest challenge is low response rates to calls, emails, or texts, followed up with consistently tracking and analyzing activity data.
Yeah, it's really insightful to see that. And I definitely encourage you to diversify your communication methods, really try to reach prospects and influencers where they are. But that's something we'll keep in mind as we keep working on our key takeaways and best practices for you all.
So our last little comment, I know we've got something special planned for customers of Welcome Home. Elena, what do you have in store? What's up next?
Yes, we are so excited to invite you all to the Customer Only Best Practices webinar on February 13th, featuring members of our customer success team. Emily and Maggie are going to be leading this panel of our internal team, and we're so excited to work with you, talk to you about the product, and really set you up for success in 2025.
We had a prep session this morning and it's going to be amazing. So if you're a customer of ours already, look out for that invite this week for February 13th.
It's
And
not too late. If you're on the, just on the edge and you need to decide to become a customer, now's the time. We can
Now
make it happen and you can get invited.
we will put the chat, Teddy Helfrich's cell phone number, just
Yep.
call him directly.
Absolutely. Thank you all for having me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Elena. Appreciate you so much.
All right, on to the next segment. If this is your first time in the living room, this is a fast-paced talk show style webinar. So let's introduce our next guest, Chris.
Yeah, we move quick here. So we're excited. Our next guest hails from up north. And everyone, welcome Joanne Campen from Citizen Marketing. Joe, it's great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. Chris and Emily, I'm very excited, and I feel like Elena and John kind of like teed me up perfectly to talk about what's going on. But
I knew lead sources that I was like, Joe's coming in.
I know.
He's gonna have some things to say.
This is my vibe. Okay, sweet.
Amazing. Let's go. All right, fast pace. So we're going to ask Joe some questions and get his insights from being one of our industry partners. So first question, Joe, what inspired you and your team to start Citizen Marketing? And how has your mission developed and evolved, excuse me, over time in the senior living industry?
No, that's great. So Citizen is a division of an organization called Pod Marketing Inc. Pod has always been in the healthcare space, but we were approached about 6 years ago by our friends over at Active Demand, for those of you familiar, and basically said, hey, we've got a group here in the senior living space who doesn't necessarily know a whole bunch about the marketing automation part of it. And so they kind of asked us to jump into it. Now with our mission piece, our mission is really to help people. And so it kind of landed with that, where we had the opportunity to continue to support people, help people live better. And so it kind of aligned with that. But as time went on, we recognized that it wasn't just about the metrics and the digital marketing pieces and making sure that we're getting, the adult child influencers or the potential residents through to the website and pushing all of that. It really had to do with a lot of these groups just really needed to have an increased level of service that was coming through from their marketing agency. And that was really one of the biggest gaps that was happening in the space. So we had a huge opportunity where we got to use the healthcare side of our organization, the aesthetic side of our organization, and helping these beautiful communities and things like that, but then push them with that really heavy service level that we're able to give. So yeah, that's kind of how that happened.
Very awesome. And I'm sure that, ties into like, how does Citizen differentiate itself from other, senior living agencies that are out there today?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like a couple of the major things, when we took a look at the space, we were noticing that the cost per lead getting people through to the website or actually pushing people through to the CRM was really high. And so that was a huge piece of that. We, number one, thought, hey, taking a percentage of media spend, that's not necessarily our goal. Other marketing agencies may think that that's kind of a cool way of doing things. We want to make sure that we're working on our clients' behalf as much as possible. So that's how we landed with that. But really what Elena was just talking about when it comes down to understanding that lead source, the multi-touch attribution, and pushing all of the leads through to the CRM, actually seeing that move in data, the return on investment that comes from every single point of marketing, and basically able to optimize that journey. That's really what it's all about, and saying, you know what, there may be avenues that work for one organization that don't work for your organization, or we may need to adjust your brand identity or your and focus your business in a different way, and figuring out what makes the most sense to try to get your average revenue per resident higher, or the amount of residents coming through, or what have you, right?
Yep.
So, and it's so smart and so necessary to make sure you have the full story, right? Marketing has the top story, sales has the end story. We need the full story. So sticking on trend with, obviously it's the first webinar of ours for 2025, and John talked about the future. From your perspective, what trends or challenges are you guys seeing and focused on actually addressing in 2025? And then how are you guys positioned to help communities adapt to these new trends and challenges we're seeing?
Yeah, and I think John hit that like nail on the head with the challenges for sure. But in terms of trends, like AI, absolutely. Anybody who basically is a marketing agency doesn't mention AI when it comes to trends. Yeah, okay. AI is going to be the biggest one. Like, we use AI in every single facet of our organization when it comes to content creation, image creation, different aspects like that. But the reality is, and this is something that we really need to make sure that we're aware of, is that Google still prioritizes human-made content. And so if we're going to be taking a look and saying, hey, we're healthcare professionals, if we're talking about things like dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, we need to take a look and say, human-made content is how Google's going to prioritize you to make sure that they are directing their users through to the best possible communities.
Great insight,
Need
Joe.
to heavily focus on
Yep.
that.
Love that.
So AI is rad, but we need to make sure that we're aware of that. Other challenges that like John had mentioned as an example, recruitment, NOI, occupancy, those challenges are always going to exist. Occupancy's up right now. It can change depending on where you guys are, and the different markets that you're in. In fact, I mentioned recruitment, and here's a little plug. At Senior Housing News, I'm going to be speaking on how to market your business for recruitment. And so if you want to check that out, you can check it out at Senior Housing News, or if you want to just chat directly about it, feel free to reach out.
Very cool. And I'm excited. I mean, that's a great, end to this segment. We're going to be doing a little party situation with Joe at Senior Housing News as well. And so if you're interested, let us know. But excited to partner with them. Joe, as always, great to talk with you, hear from you, and we look forward to all that you're doing in 2025.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Joe.
Joe.
See ya.
My next favorite segment, mainly because Pierce works directly on my team, but we'd love to welcome to the living room the Handyman Pierce segment. Welcome, Pierce, and his construction.
Hello.
Handyman Pierce, he's
Yeah.
arrived. Let's go. Let's jump into it. What do we got?
All right, new year. So I am excited and I just love sharing information with our clients, everyone here at the CRM. So if they don't know kind of how to manage a little bit better, let's provide some tool tips to help with that. So I want to kind of hit on an amazing new feature that we just put out, and then kind of two maintenance tips that I think we need to kind of just remember about that is there in Welcome Home, and I think it will help guide you to success with the CRM. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right.
I
And
still need like crane noises and like truck backing up as you're doing all this stuff. We'll get there. I bet AI could make me a little soundtrack.
I can just do it.
All right, so digging in. So our first amazing new feature release is the addition of primary and secondary lead sources that are basically kind of tied to your refer on the prospect creation screen. So kind of what I mean and want to look at is let's go to our prospects page. Let's go ahead and click on add a new prospect. And then let's scroll on down here to where it says lead source. So you might have noticed that there is a primary lead source, a primary refer, and you can also add a secondary lead source. So right now, if you were to choose the primary lead source, let's say for instance, you were to choose Care Patrol and you go over to your primary refer, that's going to select everyone down on the list for Care Patrol. So that way it kind of gets rid of all the extra fluff so that you're not seeing if you were caring.com company website, you're not seeing all those relative refers. It's only going to be strictly to Care Patrol. If you were to say, for instance, you don't know the lead source off the top of your head, and maybe we want to put in the refer because we know their name. In this sense, it's going to go ahead and filter that lead source down for you. So that way it's easy, it's simple, it's fast. And I just love being able to save time as you're entering in information for a new prospect. And it's going to be the same exact way for the secondary lead source as well. And if you ever need to adjust that primary lead source, let me show you kind of where to navigate to. So if we go to your refers, go down to your organizations, and let's put in Care Patrol. We can go right here to that organization tab, and then that type of lead source right here can be adjusted. So if you notice that that organization has an incorrect lead source, when you're trying to search for it on that new prospect creation screen, you'll be able to adjust it here.
Awesome.
I love this feature and I put it in the chat, but it's just better data integrity for the users, right? You're making
Absolutely.
less choices that they have to make,
Yes.
which I love as a CRM administrator too.
Perfect. So kind of going on to, I think, really good 2 points for routine maintenance, especially kind of leading that success run in Welcome Home. First off, let's start off with that profile. And I really want to talk and hit on notifications. A lot of people kind of forget that it's back here. And I think this is so important, especially if you're an admin, a regional, or if you're just a sales counselor or a day-to-day user. So much of this can be controlled. And let's say you're an admin and you're a part of 10 communities. Well, you may not want to get all the prospect notifications, the refer notifications. You may want to just turn off your day planner stand-up board, or you only want to turn on things that are super important to you. You can come in here and be able to select any from the list. So right now it's set to none. So for instance, if you want to receive a notification for a prospect that's created, you can change that to none. For none of the notifications will come through via integration, which will be anything only integration related, and then all if you want to do manual or integration related as well. And this is super important for your sales counselors as well, because you want them to stay up to date. And you might have, maybe for instance, maybe you're missing the day planner and you need to get that every day to kind of see what's happening the next day. If you come into notifications and you see that not toggled, toggle that back on. You can hit update and that's going to save for you. And then last little tidbit here is, let's see, minimize that. That is going to be our unknown inbound calls. Now you might see this a lot on your day planner. If a lot of people are calling your provision number, or if you have smart numbers enabled for your community, that little section for unknown inbound calls, you might be wondering, well, what actually is this? Why am I receiving calls on your day planner? And what are where are these coming from? So typically the unknown inbound calls is a number that is calling into your provision line, and it's not a phone, or it can't find a prospect profile that is related in your system. So there are options to choose. If you click these three little dots in the right-hand corner of it, you can either link it, which will allow you to link it to a profile. So let's say, for instance, Sally Sue's calling in, and maybe her husband and her husband's phone is on the profile in Welcome Home. Well, you can take this phone number and link it to that profile. You can also review the call if you need to. So if you want to listen to it, read through the notes or anything, and you can also call back the number as well. So if you missed anything and you need to call back right away, you can do that. And then if you dismiss it, or if you dismiss it by accident, and let's say, okay, that's going to refresh, and we scroll on down here, there's going to be a section that's view dismissed inbound calls. So anytime you dismissed a call, it's going to be categorized in that little section down below. And then that'll help you if you ever need to go back and review anything. If you ever want to link it back in here, you can do so. So that wraps it up for about all the maintenance tips, new features that have been released. So I hope this is a really good start to the new year. And if you have any questions, please reach out to support or to your CSMs.
And shout out to Pierce for being promoted recently from our support team to our technical solutions specialist. So thank you,
Thank you.
Pierce. Pierce,
Thank
so
you very
happy
much.
to have you.
Bye.
Great. All right, we've got a couple more minutes left, and we've got one more exciting segment left. Let's give it up for Michael Moy and the Moy You Know.
Moy, you know. Hello, Moy. How are you today? Oh, you're on mute.
Oh
Good
my
start.
God.
You know, I'm just absolutely dandy right now. And does anybody else love the way that Pierce says organization? Like, I think
Yes.
that it just sounds so much more mature, right?
I do.
Absolutely.
Good call out. Good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've got the more you know, and then I know we're showing a lot of love to, you know, marketing optimization, sales conversions, but what about love for our prospects? And so I figured we're not too far from Valentine's Day, so let's make the interesting facts all about the day of love. How does that
Love
sound?
it.
That's
Great.
amazing. Will it work if we do
Will
this?
it work? Yes, there we go.
I
I never.
haven't done that.
Fantastic. All
All
right,
right,
let's talk
let's
about it.
go.
What do you got for us? Valentine's Day.
Well, the first one is it's the second biggest card giving holiday, so I don't think that this comes to any surprise, but love is the second to Christmas cheer. So because nothing else says romance like handing your partner a $6 card and roses. Something also kind of interesting is that the bulk of those cards actually go to the teachers of like education, elementary schools, and daycares and things like that. So maybe, you know, if you're not feeling the love, get your teacher's certificate or go back to your GE.
Career path change. Got it.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. So the second one is this one's I think my favorite one. So the first Valentine was sent from prison. So the Duke of Orleans started the Valentine's tradition by sending a heartfelt poem from prison. So the next time, you know, you're nervous about like sending out that romantic text, just remember, my man was locked in a tower
If
with,
he wanted to, he would,
if
ladies.
you want, yes,
Right.
so exactly, exactly. I'm glad you said that because I was about to butcher
Ah,
trend.
That's a great fact.
Yep. So that's the second one. The third one,
and I also feel, yeah, this is quite right in line with like prospects. Like, are they going to respond to that call, text, email, Valentine?
are
You
they
don't
going
know.
to leave me on
Shoot
red?
your shot. You just got to do it. Get
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, exactly. The third one, we all know this, it's a big business. So Americans drop an inordinate amount of money. It's $20 billion on Valentine's Day. So nothing again proves saying I love you more like spending a lot of money, like cash on chocolate and overpriced dinners. But some say it's a scam for a business, and some say it's real. So, whatever camp that you want to sit in, completely up to you. But $20 billion.
That's a lot of money.
Fourth one, from a very credible dating site. It turns out that one in 10 couples call it quits after Valentine's Day.
Oh,
So those folks are, I think that those folks are probably not using Welcome Home, but 1 out of 10. Uh, but have no fear. On the fifth fun fact, it's not all doom and gloom. It's the most popular day for proposals. So while some people are having their worst
There you
day,
go.
some are having their best day, and it's proposal central. So I think it's an estimated 2.5 million proposals are set to happen on the most obvious day ever. So there's that for you guys.
Well, I mean, thank God love is not dead. Those were fantastic facts. I think one of your best segments so far.
Yeah. The more
I-
you know, Valentine's Day edition slaps. Appreciate it.
I feel good, and thank you for staying on two more minutes to let me speak into this. I felt like it was really important for everybody.
It's a great way to end the segment and the entire webinar. So thank you, Michael.
Yeah, of course. Thank y'all.
Awesome.
Awesome.
One more episode down, Chris. Great job.
Good times. Thanks, everybody. Be on the lookout for the next episode. As always, follow, Welcome Home on LinkedIn. We'll have other exciting data coming out from Year in Review. And that's really the biggest thing that we want to say is thanks to everybody who's our customers, who's participated. And it was just so exciting to be able to get that data in your hands. Make sure you download it if you haven't yet. And we've got a lot of conferences coming up this year. So you and I will both be at Senior Housing News. We might even end up recording Living Room webinar from Senior Housing News Sales and Marketing Summit. Stay tuned for that in person. But here's to 2025 and an exciting year. And we are so excited to work with all of you.
Cheers to a new year, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out in the living room with us today. And we hope to see you on the next episode.
Awesome. See you, everybody.